last comprehensive review of the charter of the city of Cincinnati was done back in about 1995 by a commission headed by former UC President Henry Winkler. They made a number of recommendations, and some of them were later adopted by the voters in a series of ballot issues. But since then, only piecemeal review of the charter has occurred and piecemeal amendments to the charter. Earlier this year, the Cincinnati City Council directed that a citizen task force be formed and charged with the responsibility of reviewing the charter comprehensively and making recommendations to the mayor and city council about changes that might be put on the ballot for the voters to look at and hopefully approve. The task force was formed. It has about 25 members. It's co-chaired by myself. I was chosen as the then president of the Cincinnati Association, and also by Mike Morgan, who's part of the leadership of the Charter Committee. Our task force has been meeting for about 6 months. When we looked at the job that was before us, we decided that it would probably take us at least a year to do a good and careful review, and that project should involve not only our own research into the charter, but also a large amount of engagement with the general public. I'd like to tell you that we will be shortly initiating a series of public forums. The first one will be at the Clifton Arts Center on the evening of October the 20th. As we took our first look at the charter, it became immediately apparent to us that there were a number of relatively simple and what we thought would be non-controversial amendments that were needed, and I'll briefly describe those in a moment. We outlined these, what we thought were uncontroversial changes. They were written up in the appropriate language by the city solicitor's office, and if anybody could read that ballot language before and have any idea what we're talking about here, I'll be darned. Anyway, that's, we're told, the appropriate language. And then the proposed changes were reviewed by the Rules Committee of Council, and the entire City Council then reviewed the proposal and put this on the ballot. The handout that the League prepared, I think if you haven't picked it up yet, you should. It will give you a much better listing and explanation than is in the ballot language itself of the kinds of changes that we're talking about. I'm just going to comment on a couple of them to give you the flavor of what we're proposing here and why we think these changes are not controversial. The first thing we noticed is that there were provisions in the charter that were just absolutely, totally obsolete. The best example is Article 6. That explains certain aspects of how the city governs the municipal college, the University of Cincinnati, and the municipal hospital, the general hospital. I think everybody, when you hear those terms, you recognize the city of Cincinnati has not owned or operated either one of those institutions for a number of years. The university is a state institution of higher learning. The university hospital has long since replaced, it's now called UC Medical Center, it's long since replaced the general hospital. The language in the charter was just totally unnecessary. So we're recommending that those provisions be removed. Modern technology has changed some of the provisions in the charter and how they operate. For example, there was a requirement in Article 2, Section 6 that Cincinnati city ordinances, when passed by council, had to be published within 15 days in a newspaper of general circulation. That's how the public was supposed to find out about ordinances. We're recommending that we change that so that the city can post those things in very short order on its website. And it can be made available if anybody wants it by hard copy. There are a number of gender-specific provisions in the charter. For example, the city solicitor and the city manager were referred to several times as he. Well, as we all know, we've had female city solicitors and female managers, and presumably we will in the future. So we're recommending that those gender-specific phrases be replaced. You can read the League's list of all of these changes. I do want to make one final comment, though, which is that we're asking for your support for issue 11. As you can tell, this is not the most exciting issue on the ballot. And this is not one of those years when there's going to be a lot of people running to the polls to vote anyway. Voter inertia is going to make it hard to sell such a, frankly, boring amendment to the charter. The proposal is non-controversial. We hope you will all vote affirmatively, and the best way to get support for this is word of mouth. We hope you'll all be telling your friends